So anyhow, I'm thinking that another bummer I had was I'm very disrespectful to staff sometimes when I get into these mental hospitals and stuff. And I mean, it's like they treat you have these. For one thing, you got these psych techs. They go through a year on the job training. I don't even know. I think maybe you have to have an AA. I don't even think you have to have an AA. I think you just have to have a clean record. You can get like some kind of, I don't know if you have to get a security clearance. Probably. I mean, I don't know how many of them work for the NSA or what, or a mind control specialist. But maybe they're brighter than they come off as. But they work a year and then they're psych techs and they have this like godlike authority to chart you. And what they say and what they write down becomes part of your historical record. And it's considered forensic evidence. I've actually had it used in court, to describe and define my behavior and my mental condition. But so I disrespect. I have a lot of disrespect for it. And there was this one Michelle Foreman. This was over at Metropolitan State Hospital back in around 2008 or 2009. I was doing a competency to stand trial, and I'd been there for about a month, and she wouldn't let me call my brother. I wanted to call my brother Eric and say, look, they've moved me. I'm over here at the hospital again. And she wouldn't let me. So I tried to call her. It got into this whole thing, and that was a whole different fight. But so, like the next day, or a couple days later, I was in breakfast, and I was really mouthing off to this bitch who was like, just really heavy-handed with her, like, authoritarian bullshit. Her kind of, I don't want to call it, like, a cultural Marxist kind of third-wave feminist, I'm the boss, look at my tattoos, aren't I bitching, kind of bullshit. But, I was like, okay, so I was flipping her shit. And next thing I know, this black guy with dreadlocks comes over, and he's like, he's like choosing me off. So I go and I like get into the, I leave the dining area, which is like a room, whatever size, with like 20 tables or something. And I close the door and I put my foot on the thing so he can't get out. So then I go back to my room where I'm with like a guy who's like a Hoover and a couple of a white guy who's like a tank driver from Iraq. He was a military guy who like flipped out, and then under this other black guy, another white guy. And I'm in the room, and fortunately they were there, okay? And then suddenly this guy I had never seen before, I come to find out the guy's name is Mike Zampini. This is for you, Mike Zampini. I know who you are. Somebody told me. And I'd never seen him before. He leads the charge. He comes in swinging. And I didn't even know what the fuck. I guess, I had disrespected staff. And I'd already had this problem where this little black guy, Curtis Williams, broke my ankle in a fight with staff. And after he did it, I looked at him and I said, why did you break my fucking ankle, Curtis? He goes, well, because I work here. So, maybe that was, what do they call it, hyperbole? Or, something. I don't know what it was. Maybe he does work there. But so these four guys come in. It was the Italian guy, Mike Zampini. That sounds Italian. Maybe it's Polish. Maybe it's Zampini. Hey, Zampini, why don't you email me? Apologize or something for this shit. See this scar on my forehead? Can you see that? So anyhow, after Zampini comes this Christian guy who I'd already had words with. He considered himself like Knights of Templar or some shit like that. He wasn't Mexican. He wasn't part of the MA, but he was like, I considered himself, I guess, a soldier for Christ. And then there was this, what the fuck was he? I think he was a Rastafarian guy. And then this really dark black guy comes in, and he's got like about 3 D batteries or 4 D batteries in a pillowcase, and he starts like wailing on my fucking head. Well, I sprung a leak. I got like cuts all. Had a shaved head at that point. I got cuts all up my scalp, and I got bonked in the fucking face. And it left a scar on my face. It doesn't really bother me that much. But this fucking nigga, hey my nigga, how you doing? So anyhow, and it was because I disrespected staff. So fuck, I was all covered up going like fuck, because I was like 4-1, and then suddenly they were gone. There was blood all over my bed, my blood, and I guess my cellies had gotten rid of them. I'm not going to mention their names because I really don't want to implicate them in any of this. But uh, so I went down to the. Well, first of all, I stripped the bed and I flipped it around and I put the sheets on so that the guard wouldn't see any blood. I took the pillowcase. I wiped the blood off the floor, which there was some blood on the floor. And then I made my way down to the bathroom, and I got in the shower and with my hand, I rinsed it off, and I got about 15 paper towels and compact or compress, whatever. When you have a flesh wound, that's the best way to stop the bleeding. You don't want to put a tourniquet on your neck, for example. And about 2 or 3 minutes later, the guard comes in. Well, so what happened? I said, well, these guys. I said, well, I slipped in the shower. And he goes, oh, really? Oh, are you hurt? I said, no, not too bad. Just a little blood. I'll get over it. And so that was at breakfast, right? So then at about 10 o'clock, they took everybody, because everybody knew what happened. So they took everybody out into the courtyard, and they strip searched us all looking for weapons. And apparently they found a weapon on one guy. And then here, I guess he thought that I fucking squealed, that I was, what do they call it? I was a snitch. I didn't say anything. I didn't even tell them that these fucking niggers and this asshole and these people beat the fuck out of me. Or they didn't even beat the fuck out of me. They just hit me a few times. They kicked me. They stomped on my head with their feet and stuff. They got up on my dresser and they were, did a number on me. But fortunately, as I said, I had some friends in there who I think they kind of escorted them out, I don't know if anybody got hurt, but hopefully. But, this one guy, this Hoover guy, that's a gang, and they're offshoot of the Crips. Now, that guy I'd seen him in a fight, and you do not want to get in a fight with that guy, so I think maybe he just looked at the guy and said, get the fuck out of here. He's like 6'7" or something. But, so, anyhow, that's pretty much how that story went. But the end of the story, and the real bummer is I was at lunch later, and the Christian warrior, the Knights Templar guy, or whatever the fuck he thought he was, I forget his name. Thankfully, if I ever see him in heaven, I'll probably kick the shit out of him. But he comes at me from behind at lunch with a fucking tray and smacks me on the side of the head, and I was like, oh, so I picked up a chair and threw it at him. He ran into the food line and closed the door like a couple of these women staff. Oh, you can't go in there. I was like, oh, okay. So then I left and I sat in the hallway and I told the MTA, I said, look, man, you got to get me the fuck out of here. I don't know what the deal is, but it is good. Yeah, that was a bummer. They put me in a different mood.